these sessions, you will know the basic principles of sport training, where you can apply related theory to the practices. We will have with us today Ms. Polly San, advisor to Sembawang West Grassroots Organizations. She will be the moderator for these sessions, and guest speakers, Mr. Stephen Quek, head coach of Active SG Distance Running Programs. All of them will be joining us at the Q&A sessions after the presentations. Should you have any questions for them, please type in the chat box, or you may use the raise hand function in Zoom. Our admin will unmute when your name is called. Without further ado, I would like to invite Ms. Polly San, advisor to Sembawang West Grassroots Organizations, for her opening address. Ms. Polly, please.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Lian. Thank you for hosting this session. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Northwest CDC as well as our Sembawang West CSC for organizing this inaugural workshop for our running club. And really glad to see so many participants sign up, even though this is a Sunday afternoon during the lunchtime. So I hope all of you have had your lunch and perhaps even done your Sunday run this morning. So I think this is a really, really great initiative to have a clinic for our runners, our avid runners in our running club, and those also looking forward to join us. Because running can be very beneficial, but if we are not careful, we may end up with injuries or nagging problems, and that may affect our performance. So all of us, when we run, we want to run faster, run longer, and also run injury-free, and also be able to run till an older age, right? But it's important for us to recognize that some of these good practices, good habits, and if we do come, meet some injuries, or if we have goals like training for a half marathon, a marathon, then how do we go about doing that? That's the reason why we are organizing this clinic, to help everybody, let the community share all this good knowledge, good practices, so that we can all improve and run and enjoy running together. And for myself, I've been an avid runner since the age of 13 years old. So I've been running for some 33 years of my life and still running. And I'm really, really glad that, Northwest CDC and also our Sembawang West CSC has been very active in promoting running amongst our residents. And till date, the Northwest CDC has actually started this running club since April last year. And for Sembawang CSC, we have started in November last year. Till date, in the whole of our Northwest region, we have 17 running clubs, 161 members. And within Sembawang West Running Club, Sembawang CSC West Running Club itself, we have 68 members, actually more than half of the total running club members. So I'm really glad that we are catching on with this, this running interest, and we can actually all get better, stronger, faster, and run injury-free as we train, as we run together and build this running camaraderie. And earlier this year, we had a New Year run. We also had a Chinese New Year 8.88 kilometers fun run at the Marina Bay area. So going forward, we'll be organizing more novelty runs, interesting runs all around different parts of the island, and maybe even plan to take part in races together. Hopefully this year the Stanchart Marathon can come back, and we will start to see more big races restarting in Singapore, and you can join as a running club. So very happy to be here with all of you today. I'm very eager also to learn from Mr. Quek, and thank you, Mr. Quek, for sharing with us your tips and your very useful knowledge today. I'm very eager to learn more about this important knowledge and tips about running in a safer and a stronger way. So enjoy this session and do ask lots of questions later. We have a Q&A session after Mr. Quek finishes his presentation, his sharing session. So do put down your questions, and we can all run through the Q&A together at the end of the presentation session. So over to you, Mr. Quek.
All right, thank you, Ms. Pu. So before we start the sessions, right, I would like to invite everyone now to turn on your cameras and to take a group photo together, shall we? Are we ready? Guys, ladies, gentlemen, please on your cameras. 1, 2, 3, cheers. Okay, thank you, everyone. So right now, may I invite Stephen, head coach of Active SG Distance Running Programs, to share with us on the basic principles of sport training. Stephen, please.
Very good afternoon, everybody. Okay, I'm having a little problem with my original sign-in out my Zoom. So now I'm not using that previous account that I signed in, and I'm trying to now load my slides. Excuse me, give me a minute. I hope I can get it sorted out quickly. Isaac site, would you guys? Okay.
Recording in progress.
Can you allow me screen sharing? Can allow me screen sharing in the previous. Host disabled participant screen sharing. Can you allow screen sharing?
Hi, Stephen. You need to mute one of your devices. It's creating a lot of feedback.
Okay. Okay. Is it okay now?
Yes, it's better. You can proceed. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. I'm using two systems now because my Zoom didn't allow me to use my video. Okay, never mind. I try. Okay. This. Okay, this session. This session, I try to go through some very basic principles of sports training, training principles that we coaches, trainers use in the planning of training. I like to share these basic principles that guide our work briefly, and then I'd like to go on to share with you guys how we apply it, so that you know, upon gathering some of this information, some of this knowledge, I hope you guys can go back and plan your training, right? Because you know, this session is only an hour, but I think more important thing is for you guys to have the ideas, right, that you can bring with you in your planning of training, right, that you're going to do on a regular basis. And at the end of this session, I've already received a couple of questions. I really hope to answer many of these questions that you have. I think they are very common. These are common questions that sports participants, runners always ask. And yeah, I hope I can share my perspective on such issues. All right, and then hopefully, you can have a more enjoyable, safer, and effective running experience. All right, principle of training. All right, as we all know, from not doing any training, right, to doing some training, we will improve. Right, we haven't been running, we start running. After running for a while, hey, we improve. But now we want to continue the improvement. We want to be productive for the training that we do. We want to get a return. All right, and of course, we do not want injuries. We want to be able to train safely. Right, so yeah, these are the principles of training that as I mentioned, sports trainer use in our planning of training. All right, so I'd like to run through with you. Right, the principle adaptation. When we participate in sports, any physical activity, when we subject our body to a training program, right, a training load, we call that, right, our body will adapt. Right, our body will adapt. If we stress the body will adapt. In future, if we give our body the same load, same stress, the body should be able to deal with it because it has adapted. All right, so this includes cardio system, heart, the muscles, connective tissue. All right, it will adapt through training. So this diagram helped me explain that. Take note of this diagram. I think it's very, very useful. Right, so let's say this is my current fitness level here. Right, if I'm very fit, I'm on top. I'm not so fit, I'm at the bottom. So current level of fitness here, I subject myself to a training load, I will experience fatigue. All of us know that, right? After a run, I'm tired, right? We all experience fatigue after the training. We do push-up, we do sit-up. After that, we are also tired, fatigue, right? But the beauty of our human body is we will recover, all right? And then when we recover beyond our initial fitness level, we say overcompensation has taken place, we reach a new fitness level. Okay, and what you do after that, right? I train, fatigue, recover, improve, train, fatigue, recover, improve, train, fatigue, recover, improve. Over time, I become fitter and fitter. All right, regular practice, performance will improve. To get that overload, right? If I run 5 kilometers 3 times a week, and if I do that after many, many weeks, right, at the same speed, right, same terrain, after a while, there's no more adaptation because my body has already gotten used to it. I need to overload the system. All right, doing the same thing over and over again, after a while, there will be no adaptation, right? Well, we can maintain, but we like to adapt, we like to improve further. Then we could manipulate one of these variables: frequency, how often, intensity, right? How intense, how fast, how high our heart rate, duration, right? How long we train, and the type of activities, right? Can be running in a park, trail running, interval training, stair climbing, right? Even swimming, different type of activities can help that we can manipulate, right? You can make changes to help us change the training load. A simple illustration, a very, very simple illustration here. Let's say I normally train 3 times a week, right? Running 5 kilometer, 5 minutes per km pace, or at the train at 70% maximum heart rate, right? For a duration of 25 minutes, running on the road. If I could change my frequency of training, fix the rest, just train 4 times a week, I would have changed my training load. Or I fix the other 3 variables. I just, increase the intensity. Maybe I run at 75% maximum heart rate, or I run at 450 pace. I would have increased the load. Or instead of, I can keep these 2 constant. Instead of running 25 minutes, I add an additional 1 kilometer. All right. And then type of activities, instead of, doing road running, I could run in the trail. I can run in hilly terrain, right? So I can change the training load, right, by manipulating one of these 4 variables. Do take note that, yes, we like to improve, we like to increase the loading, right? the loading increment, all right, the progression has to be progressive, right? Progressive, bit by bit, right? Trying to increase too much too soon can be problematic. As you can see in this diagram, just a diagram to illustrate this. If I try too ambitious, try to improve too much, I load the system too much, right? The body may not be able to respond. After all the hard work, I go back to the same place. All right, or maybe worse, I may hurt myself, get some injuries, right? But training that is too superficial, also, you know, superficial training load may give us a superficial, you know, return from the training. So we need to find out what is, you know, suitable for ourselves. Okay, I've told you the good news. We train, our body will adapt. You progressively increase the load, we will improve, right? The bad news is training effects are reversible, all right? So what I've gained in my training, right, I may lose it if I don't use it, right? If I stop training after a prolonged period of, after I have a prolonged period of resting, right? After undergoing regular training, I may lose the effects that I've gained. Okay, so I thought this diagram may help us illustrate that. Nice to train and improve, but if I don't maintain my regular training over time, fitness will decline, right? The reversibility principle. And I think we all know that when we take a long break, when we return, wow, it's quite tough to start again, right? So we, well, later I'll share some ideas to minimize the problem of this, right? Reversibility, and maybe if we can, we try even to prevent having long breaks from training. Training effects are specific, right? The adaptation are specific to the training that we do, right? So my favorite example, you know, to illustrate the principle of specificity is, I use a pull-up or chin-up. I think most of us have experienced, whether NS or in school, the NAPFA test. To improve pull-up, we need to pull, right? That is very specific. Does push-up help? Push-up make me stronger, sure, but it's not specific. Between doing nothing and doing something, right? Doing push-up is still better than nothing. But if I really, really want to be very specific, right, in the adaptation, in the improvement, then I do pull-up. Okay, and then means if I want to improve my running, right? Swimming helps improve my cardiovascular fitness, keep me fit. But if I want to improve in my running performance, I run. If I improve trail running, then I run in the trail. Right, that's the principle of specificity. In fact, yeah, if I want to run a 3-hour 30 marathon, right, I want to train specifically at 5 minutes or so of running. That gives me a 3.5-hour marathon. Training at 3-minute pace, right, is not specific, although it's so much faster. 3-minute 30 pace so much faster. It is not specific, and therefore it's not as effective for the purpose of training a 3.5 marathon. Principle of specificity. Variety, principle of variety. If I keep doing the same thing over and over again, right, it becomes very boring, right? And I'll lose motivation. And worse, because I keep doing the same thing over and over again, using the same body parts over and over again, I may sustain overuse injury, right? So we may want to, you know, have variety in training, right? We manipulate some of the variables, right? We try and do some different activities, right, to help us manage, some of the problem, right, due to lack of variety. In case listening to me there, you said you're thinking, just the previous slide, I spoke about specificity. This slide, I'm talking about variety. All right, am I contradicting myself? Okay, and that's where planning come in. All right, I want to take this opportunity to highlight the to help to differentiate this. Yes, have variety, but as we approach the event, training get more specific. All right, so if I finish my marathon in December, right, I'm done with 42 km. I train towards the December marathon. January, I don't want to start training for marathon. Right, January, February, I can do a variety of activity, go swimming, go cycling, play badminton, variety, right? Then, okay, about 16 weeks, 12 weeks towards my marathon, training get very specific marathon training. All right, so I hope I have help you differentiate the two, right? Principle of specificity, yes, very specific, but principle of variety, all right? We also want to not overload the same body parts, the same system throughout the year, right? Principle of variety. Individuality principle, no two individuals are the same. Yeah, I think we all know that. And therefore, our response to training may not be the same. Okay, and so, you know, training with friends, careful, don't expect, you know, everyone to be able to do the same training program, right? Because of this individuality principle. And also, even we can do the same training program comfortably, our response, right? How much we improve from those training load may not be the same, right? Because we are, yeah, different. So take note of this. I think it's important so that we are not pressurized by, you know, our friends who can do this, can improve so much. I cannot, I feel discouraged. Okay, I briefly run through all the basic principle of training. I'd like to share a little bit more of the application. You know, yes, we understand this principle, then what can we, you know, how can we make use of it, right? Adaptation principle, this is actually to me very, very important, very, very significant, in fact, in the understanding of planning training. Look at this, I said just now, you know, from here to here, fatigue, we all understand, right? We all understand that, you know, we all experience that. But from here, fatigue state to improvement state, supercompensation, something has taken place here. Recovery. And this is important, right? I think we quite often see athletes who are, or runners who are motivated, they train really hard, willing to do the hard work in training, right? But if we neglect this, the hard work we put in training does not lead to the improvement that we deserve or that we want, right? Based on the hard work we put in the training. Recovery, I'm going to talk about sleep and nutrition. Please take note that recovery is not only about sleep and nutrition, right? There are other forms, massage, for example, right? Even recovery, jog, cross training, all right? Those are other areas, but I think the two very, very important part on recovery, in my opinion, are these two, sleep and nutrition. Okay, and I think what I share here, nutrition and sleep, if you look a little bit into it, you also realize that it's good for our general health. Okay, so what difference does it make, you know, if I pay attention to rest and nutrition? Maybe, right, this can help us see better. If I am not well rested, I don't eat properly after training, right, the improvement is very gradual, right? And then, yeah, we don't experience much compensation. But if we can have very, very effective recovery, we can get on, right, with the improvement, right? And then the next set of loading. Worse, we train, right? We don't get enough recovery, we train again. We don't get the recovery, we train again, right? Constant loading with inadequate recovery, right? We'll be perpetually tired, right? And not only we don't improve, right? We may really get ourselves into trouble. Okay, so rest, what about rest? Right? Yeah, I think we always, you know, talk about 8 hours of sleep. I think for the general population, 8 hours of sleep, I think we understand, we know that. And most of us do not get 8 hours of sleep, I believe. What happens when we sleep? When we sleep, right, we go through sleep cycle, right? Each cycle consists of 5 stages. Different processes are taking place in each stage, right? And each sleep cycle is about 90 minutes. In other words, if I sleep for 6 hours, I get 4 cycles. If I sleep for 9 hours, I get 6 cycles, right? So the processes will have 4 times or 6 times, depending whether I sleep for 6 hours or 9 hours, right? So sleep cycle, right, different stages, right? So the processes taking place in each cycle, each stage, sorry. So I present it differently here. Right? And if you look at this information here in red, really, we all know the importance of sleep. But if we take a closer look at the information here in red, right, then we realize that, you know, it's so important. Hormones are discharged, energy is replenished, body repairs, regrow tissue, right? Build bones and muscle, strengthen the immune system. All right. So after training load, the body, you know, is stressed, right? We need to do all this to help the body recover. And if you don't get enough sleep every night, right? All the hard work we put in training, you don't get enough sleep, you don't get all these processes carried out, right? Then we will feel weak and we will fall sick because we have a weak immune system, right? We may get injuries, right? Because there's no chance for the body to do repair work, to do regrowing work, right? Hormones discharge is compromised, right? Energy replenishment is affected. Okay, so summarize here. So it's important that we get enough sleep after training, and the more serious runners who train, you know, very, very seriously, then it becomes even more important, right? Always tired, susceptible to injury, falling sick. Okay, and for the students, sometimes, you know, I share this very often with the kids, the student athletes, it will also affect their learning in school. Okay, very, very quickly, you know, an old newspaper report showing that actually, if you're talking the youth, right, they need 9 hours of sleep because they are also undergoing growth. And really our population, only 3% of our children are getting enough rest, right? That's for the growing population, the teenagers, right? And the report, right, the doctor shared about what I shared previously, right? Secretion of growth hormones, right? And if we affect that part of it, right, then the growth, right, will be affected. Okay, so yeah, this is more for kids, youth here, or for the kids that you have at home. I thought this is useful information, right? 8 hours, that's for the adults. That population, right? For the younger ones, they need a bit more because they're undergoing growth. And for people who are undergoing sports training, certainly we need a little bit more rest. Okay, and I thought this is useful article from the Straits Times. Please don't think that, okay, all my friends, all of us are, you know, he's sleeping 6 hours, somebody else is sleeping 5 hours, and therefore my 6 hours is okay. Because as a nation, right, we are the third most sleep deprived city, right, in the world, according to this report, right? So don't use our friends' standard to as a guide, because we are all in the same situation, not getting enough rest here in Singapore. Okay. So I've very, very briefly spoken about resting. All right, I think we know now the sleep cycle, and then the processes that is taking place, and they are very important for a recovering athlete, right, for the purpose of improvement, right, certainly. Now I want to talk a bit about nutrition. I'm not a sports nutritionist, but I think I can look at, you know, running, right, running training, right, I can analyze and say these are very, very basic areas we have to take note of, right, because when I train, I definitely, you know, need to refuel after training, right? I need to recover glycogen, all right, for the energy used, right? We lose water, especially in a place like Singapore, yeah, our climatic condition here, right? Definitely, all right, we lose water and the electrolytes when we perspire, right? So we need to put them back. Sports training is about growth, right? It's about repair. All right, and for that we need protein. Okay, and sports training is stressful, right? Psychologically, physically it's stressful. So we need our vitamin, our mineral, right, to help boost our immune system. All right. So if I look at running, all right, and look at what, you know, I need to work on for recovery post running, then I must look for my healthy source of glycogen, right, water and electrolytes, protein, and vitamins and minerals. Okay, and I thought if I summarize this in this way, I realized that, you know, fruits, okay, I think you can see my bias here, all right? Fruits provide good source of all the nutrients that we need post-training, I'll elaborate a bit more about fruits later, right? The sports scientists are encouraging us to consume, post-training snack within an hour, right? Because glycogen synthesis is greatest within the first hours post-training, right? So if we can, right, bring with us, right, some of these snack that we can consume. The moment we are done with training, even as we are heading out for dinner, right, or heading out for, maybe a late breakfast for some people who train in the morning, on our way out, we already start our replenishment, right? Maybe have a fruit, have a banana, have an apple, or maybe prepare some of this on our way out. Window of opportunity. Health Promotion Board recommends 2+2. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar. Health Promotion Board promotes 2 servings of fruits and 2 servings of vegetable every day. Okay, so do a quick reflection. Are you consuming your 2+2? Right? And I think it's good. Fruits and vegetable, right, give us all the nutrients we need, right? Even for fats, right? Fruits and vegetable, you don't have the problematic, unhealthy fats. Okay, right? So it's very, very good to pay attention to this 2+2, right? And I was saying just now about fruits, particularly, convenience. Fruits, it is very, very convenient to prepare and consume. Sometimes cooking, right? Not all of us are able to prepare our own food. Not all of us are able to cook our own food. Then we need to depend on others. But fruits, we just walk into the supermarket, walk out, you can eat already. All right. Of course, some fruit need to be washed properly, and we can consume. So I'm thinking for the youth, right, especially, and applicable to all of us, it's very, very convenient source of nutrients, right? And I think many of us learn in school, sometimes the cooking, the high temperature in the frying may destroy some of the nutrients in our food. All right. Okay, that's being the case, right? Then I take more fruits because we don't cook our fruits, right? That the problem, right, of nutrients being destroyed by the cooking is eliminated. So maybe more serving of fruits, right? And definitely I don't see, if we take a variety of fruits, I really don't see any problem with over consuming fruits. I don't think it's a problem. Okay. Have a variety because different colored fruits give us different nutrients. All right, and we have a variety of them. It's good for recovery. It's good for our health. Okay, very quickly, water. I think we are all familiar. Very, very important. Drinking enough water in our, our climatic condition in Singapore, as I mentioned. Take note, lubrication of joints. All right, our joints. They have the fluid. We call it the synovial fluid, for example, right? You do not have well lubricated joints, then we are going to have problem, right, with our regular running, right? Lubrication of joints. Energy production, we need respiration, we need water. This is the part that we all very familiar here in Singapore, right? If we keep losing, when our body temperature goes up, we need to lose some heat through our perspiration, all right? And with the perspiration, heat will be lost from our skin, from our body, right? So if we are not well hydrated, this process cannot be carried out effectively, right? Then we will have a problem. So we need to be well hydrated. Otherwise, our body system will shut down, and then we will suffer from very serious heat injuries, right? That can lead to death, right? So we just have to be very careful with thermal regulation, and we must drink enough for this purpose. Transportation in our body, right? We need water and oxygen carrying red blood cells. Now we train hard, we train our body system to be able to function in energy production, right? But the working muscles need oxygen. The muscles, the legs, in the legs, they need the oxygen to do the work. But if we are unable to transport oxygen, right, that we breathe into the working muscles, everything get held up, right? It's just like the PIE that is jammed, So we need to drink enough, right, so that the viscosity of the blood allow smooth flowing of the red blood cells, oxygen carrying red blood cells through the bloodstream. Okay, then how much to drink? I know there are recommendations like this, so much to drink a day, but I think all of you will agree with me that drinking for a person playing, let's say, indoor sports, and for a person training for marathon, I don't think it's the same, right? So good guide, but I think we need to individualize, right? Just now, individuality principle. I think we need to know ourselves, the activities that we are doing, how much water we are losing, all right, and how much we need to replenish. Gatorade has come up with a very useful hydration chart, right? A measure of dehydration, right? We try to be here, right? Our urine color, we try to attain this near colorless state, right? If the urine color is dark, right, it's an indication of dehydration. Please do not depend on thirst. Don't depend on thirst to guide us, because by the time I feel thirsty, right? By the time I feel thirsty, I receive the message that I'm thirsty, I'm already dehydrated. All right, so hydrate regularly, right? Take small amount each time. If we take too big an amount, they go to the, goes right through the body and into the bladder, and then we need to go to the toilet again. So drink small amount regularly, and then when we go to the toilet, check that urine color is near colorless. I think that would be a very useful guide for hydration. Last bit about nutrition. I think some of us learn that running without breakfast, right? The body learn to burn fats better. Okay, I think we need to understand that brain cells use glucose as a source of energy. Only glucose. Fats does not supply the brain cells with energy for its operation. So glucose is needed by the brain. When we run at a low intensity, burning fats can provide us the energy. But the intensity of our running go higher, right? Past a certain level, and it's different for different individual. If you run up a slope, the intensity will go up, right? If you run across the traffic light, you speed up, right? Or you try to chase somebody, or you're finishing a run, you speed up. Intensity will go up, and the burning of fats, the burning of glycogen, right, glucose will go up. So if I didn't take breakfast, my blood glucose level in my body is very, very low in the morning, because the last meal I took was 7 p.m. last night, for example. 7 a.m. today, it's about 12 hours later, my blood glucose level is really low. If I go running without consuming my breakfast, right, should I run low in my blood glucose, my brain will not be able to operate properly, right? I may feel dizzy, right? And quite often, I've come across this when I was teaching physical education in school. Some of the students after running 2.4 tell me that they can see stars. They see the building moving, they say, all right? They say lights blinking, right? That's because not enough glucose is going to the brain cells, right? And then, yeah, they experience that kind of discomfort. So it's not safe. If we are not experienced runner, we are not experienced, and then we go out and run, and imagine somewhere in the trail or something, and if you experience such experience of the body running low in blood glucose, right, it can be quite dangerous. So try to take breakfast before running, just a bit, right? But I think it's important to consume breakfast before we go out for physical activity. Okay, so summarize, right? Training load does not directly leads to improvement, all right? Training load, we need the recovery part, right? That give us the improvement. And so far, I have shared recovery in the area of sleep and nutrition, all right? Some people, right, they have their cross-training. Some of them have their sports massage, right? Those are processes that will also help in the recovery process. But I think the key really for us, the average participant, is to get good rest and good nutrients. Okay, I move on. Some application, overloading the system, right? I said progressively. So sometimes participants wonder, I need how, I'm only at, currently I can only run for about 3K, 4K. How can I run 10 kilometers, right? How come some of the other guys can run 10 kilometers? What I'm thinking is this: if we can train regularly, all right, regularly, with gradual progression, actually we can get there. So let's say we train 3 times a week, run 4 kilometers 3 times a week. The following week, if I want to run 5 kilometers, I don't think it's too difficult, right? If I run 5 kilometers 3 times a week, right? Let's say run for about 2 weeks, then I go to 6 kilometers. It's not difficult, right? So you can see that if we are patient, right, and do it very, very regularly, very, very gradually, right, we could, in 10 weeks, yes, you can see from the numbers here, the progression is very gradual, right? Even for a person running about 3-4K at this point, 25 minutes, easy jog at this point, right, we could, right, in 2-3 months, progress to 10 km. Okay, maybe some people say, oh, I can't even, I struggle, even 2 km, I'm walking. All right, so maybe if we lower the number, all right, if we are patient, we work progressively, gradually, we still can get there, right, gradually. And for guys who are running 21K, preparing for a half marathon, let's say, right, how can I get there gradually? And on this note, I also want to encourage, participants that if we are preparing for an event, right, please give yourself enough time. Give yourself about 12 weeks or so of preparation, right? Because if you can give yourself time, right, enough time, you can gradually get there. It's a problem if we are rushing. I have to prepare for an event in 3 weeks, in 4 weeks, then we rush. And when we rush, the progression cannot be gradual. All right. So plan ahead, give enough lead time, right, to gradually get there. I think that can really, really help us prepare properly for an event. I already received question about interval training. I thought, again, very, very briefly, I talk about interval training and the application of progressive overloading, and I suppose specificity as well. Now, let's say I am a person who's running, let me use this example here. I'm running 2.4 at the timing of, let's say, 12.5 minutes. After achieving 12.5 minutes, I target 12 minutes. If I want to run 12 minutes, I go to the track, I need to run 1 round in 2 minutes, 6 rounds, 12 minutes. If I start running, at 2 minutes per round and continuously run 6 rounds, it can be quite tough. For a 12-minute 30 guy to run 12 minutes, the next attempt can be tough. So I could spread over, have a progressive training over 5 weeks. I break my 2004 into 6 times 400. Total is 2004. The target time is 12 minutes. Eventually, and that's my running time. But I have 1 minute break in between the 6 times. So I have 5 1-minute break in between. I'm quite sure a person who can do 12:30, 2.4 can do 6 times 400 quite comfortably with a minute rest. So after that, I say, okay, I'm successful with my 400. I progress to 1.5 round. Progression, gradual. 6 times 400 total distance is still 2.4. But now I only have 3 1-minute rest in between. Successful. I progress. I progress to 800 meters times 3. Total distance is still the same. Time taken for running is the same. But now I reduce my rest to only 2 times 1 minute rest. Successful, you progress. And once I'm able to do 2 times 1.2 with a minute rest, I progress to 2.4 with no rest. Right? So this I'm trying to illustrate using interval training, right? Applying the principle of progressive overloading. And specifically, I want to train to run at 2 minutes, teach my body to produce energy at 2 minutes specifically, right? We could use interval training in our approach to achieve a target time. 90 seconds is the same. That's 9 minute 2.4 will be 90 seconds. For those of you who find pumping from 400 to 600 a become, there's nothing wrong doing 5 times 500 in between, right? Run a little bit more, no problem, right? Then the week after, if you're successful, we go back to 4 times 6. I think the progression can go on. Okay, and planning a training week. We try to put training together into a week. How often we run, I'm going by most of us, right? I think 3 sessions a week, 4 sessions a week will be enough. And later I will try to explain a bit more why. Another guideline. So maybe I can do interval training on Monday. I go jogging on Wednesday, Friday. If I want to train 4 times a week, maybe I could do Monday, all right, and 2 interval per week. Then Monday, Thursday interval, then Tuesday, Tuesday, Saturday jogging. All right, or I can do 1 interval a week, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday jogging. Well, I could do, I can do Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, or simply 3 times a week of regular jogging, right? So I think just a guide, just some example how we can fit in a training week, but it's important not to have too hard training close to each other. Interval training are more intense than jogging, right? Or continuous run. So the too intense training, we spread them out. Okay. And those of us who say, oh, what about, faster, harder long run? Then if that is the case, then that would be considered a tougher training. So then we don't want to put them too close to your interval training. Or if I'm doing 3 continuous run a week, right? My Friday long run is the hardest run of the week. Okay, then, my Wednesday one may be a little lighter. Okay, so the idea really is to facilitate recovery in between training. Specificity, right? Application, as I said just now, if I would like to run 2.4, this type of pace, right? Minute, running at 60 seconds per round or 70 seconds per round is not the best training because the energy system we use is not specific. If I want to run 2 minutes per round for 6 rounds, then I want to train 2 minutes per round. Very, very specific. And if my distance of my test is 2.4, then I want to train specifically, right, to help me prepare for 2.4. If I train for 1,002, it's not enough for me to prepare for a race that is 2.4 kilometers long, right? If I run, of course, if I run 20 kilometers, it's not specific for me, a person who wants to run the speed of a 2.4, right? So therefore, yeah, the principle of specificity applies this way. Touch a bit on those of us who are preparing for marathon running. Do take note, quite often our regular training runs are in the evening, right? We do interval training in the evening, but your marathon race start at 5 a.m. in the morning. So if you want to be very specific, those of us who are that serious, then your preparation for the marathon event, you may want to spend a few weeks before, right, on a regular basis, progressively train at the specific time of your marathon race. Consume the same breakfast that you intend to do for your marathon race. Wake up, sleep, terrain, all that you plan with your specific requirement of your marathon in mind. Even the water, the hydration. You want to practice drinking, right? Just like you do in a marathon race. That can be how serious or how specific, right? You can prepare your training, right? If you are that, you're trying to apply the principle of specificity, right? That's how serious, you can prepare for it. Last point to note here, terrain. My group, we like to run a lot in the trail of MacRitchie Reservoir, right? Terrain running. Although it may seem tougher to train in the terrain, in the trail of MacRitchie Reservoir, if we are preparing for marathon running, terrain running is not the same. Okay, if I run in the trail, sometimes I run upslope, sometimes I run downslope. When I run upslope, certain muscles are working more, certain muscles are working less. When I run downslope, other muscles are working more, right, than the rest. But when I run the marathon, it's on a flat terrain, right? Flat concrete ground. It's not the same. The demand on the same set of muscle to complete 42 kilometers will not be the same as a guy who practiced a lot inside the trail of MacRitchie. All right, so that is something you have to pay attention to, the principle of specificity. Okay, right, I think I explained this in terms of progression and the pace. I think this is useful. I look at quite a number of questions that that has been posted. American College of Sports Medicine provide us with this set of guidelines for people who are training, right, for health and fitness, aerobic exercise, heart health, right, the health of our cardio system. We need to train between 3 to 5 sessions a week, right? Not necessary to do more than 5, right? Try not to do less than 3. The intensity of our work, right? Keep it within 60 to 90, and therefore we don't need to run harder than 90% of maximum heart rate. Duration of running or exercise, duration of exercise, between 30 to 60 minutes, and there's really no need to do much more than 60 minutes, right? And then on this note, those of us who are always thinking that we're very busy, no time to exercise, right? We just need this amount. Okay, and exercise that use large muscle group, and we are preparing, if we are running, then jogging, right? I think that is the exercise that we are talking about, right? So ACSM guideline, right? This is the set of guidelines they're giving us. So for us, when we prepare training, and quite a number of you ask about, you know, what is a healthy, or what are the guidelines to run healthily, right? For health reason. And this will be the useful guideline for us. Okay, and you realize that it's talking about 60 minutes and not a 5-minute marathon. All right, so we don't need to run marathon to stay healthy. Okay, well, running marathon is a good challenge, it's exciting goal. All right, some goals we can pursue, but just take note that it's not a requirement, right, for people who like to stay healthy through running. Okay. Just to extend a bit, CSM have provided us with a new guideline, or basically what they are saying here is, you know, if people who do not have enough time, right, even to do 30-60, well, you do shorter bout of exercise is okay, but do more often. All right, so they provide a little variation, right? So that to help people achieve some of these targets. Okay, back to this FITT. All right, so when you plan your training, right, if you are trying to exercise, right, to stay healthy, FITT, this is the set of guideline. If you're preparing for event, depending on your objective, if you're preparing for marathon, then your objective is marathon training 42 km at whatever pace, then all these have to change. If you're preparing for triathlon, cycle, run, swim, all these have to change. Reversibility, I mentioned this. I know, you know, sometimes we really got no choice. Circumstances force us to take a break, you know, that we don't want. Okay? So I thought you may want to look at your own specific case. What are the causes, right, of your interruption? Right, then maybe you plan for it. I just thought that I want to share this. For the student athletes, the youth, be consistent in their schoolwork, right? I think that it has to be the way to go, like prepare well in advance, right? Not last minute revision. I think that will make a difference. For injuries and illnesses, right? I'm shared just now under recovery. If we look at, you know, eating well, resting well, I think that can play a very, very big part in preventing us from falling sick and getting injured, right? And I know that injuries sometimes cannot be avoided. I think that is real. We can go running and we can sprain our ankle, right? And then we'll be out of action, all right? And sometimes not careful, we may experience injuries like, maybe shin splint or something that take us out of action for a while, or we fall, we break our wrist. Okay, I want to suggest that if we experience some form of injuries, right, do consider alternative training. Example, I sprained my ankle. I can't run. But cannot run doesn't mean I will have to totally lose all my cardiovascular fitness, my cardiovascular endurance. Can I put a float between my knees, go inside the swimming pool and swim? By putting a float between my knees, I swim, I don't move my legs, my upper body will be doing the work, my heart can still get the training, all right, to help me maintain my fitness. Example, with a broken wrist, right? Maybe it's not safe to go out and run. Maybe I can run on a treadmill, rest my arm, you know, on the handlebar or something. I can still maintain some form of activity, right? Or cycling, stationary, using a stationary bike, right? So I think don't totally stop training when we sustain injuries, right? Yeah, because that would, because of my injured ankle, caused me to lose my cardiovascular fitness. It need not be the case. Even strength, I could do isometric exercises. That means I, you know, for example, I do a squat, I hold my, you know, with my back against the wall, right? In the, like sitting on an imaginary chair, right? I can also strengthen my quadricep muscles or maintain the strength of my quadricep muscles without having me to stress the injured ankle. All right, so I hope yeah, we can try to think of ways to prevent some of this interruption, right? But when it occur, right, think of alternative training, all right, trips and all. See how you can safely plan some short run during the trips, right, so that we don't totally lay off and the reversibility effect will be minimized. Variety, we encourage variety. I think I mentioned just now, I think especially for people who are really exercising for health, right? Not so much of competitive running, but more because we want to exercise to stay healthy, then have a variety of activities, right? Go to different places to run, play a variety of sports, even cycling, swimming, right? Yeah, different terrain. I think that will help sustain our interest, right? And yeah, keep us going for a long time. But I do know that routine helps in a sense that if we do the same thing over and over, it's more efficient because, you know, we don't have to go around looking for parking. We don't need to look around, checking out whether this place has, you know, toilets, facilities and all that now because we are not familiar, right? So we do the same thing over and over. It's easier, save time. And so maybe during the busy period when we cannot afford a lot of time, right? Just do the same thing, sustain our fitness through that period of time. And then when we have more time, holiday or off season, then we try a variety of activities. All right, maybe, right? So these are some of the considerations. I thought this is good information for you. All of us participate in sports for different reasons, right? This is a very old set of slides that I have. But I think it's useful. Some people participate in sports because they want to achieve, right? They want to achieve high performance. They want to represent a country, right? They want to break records. Some people participate in sports just for the friendship, right? To be with people, social, right? Some to be in control, right? To feel in charge, all right? And some participate in sports, right? For the excitement, for the experience. Okay, so important to know this because when we participate in our running activities with our friends, right? If we understand each other, all right, why we are here, then I think we can have a better experience together. Because otherwise there will be misunderstanding, you know, why are they always, you know, so interested in taking photographs and posing the photographs on social media, you know, when we should be looking at a better timing, right? Because we all have different objectives when we participate in our sports. And I think it's good to understand each other, right? Then, well, if I am serious during this period of time, trying to achieve some performance, then maybe I exercise with people, right, who have similar goal, right? And then maybe, okay, off season, have a little easier period of training, not so serious, then the social element come back, all right? So I thought, yeah, it's good to understand, right, that different people participate in sports for different reasons. Okay, I'm ending this presentation with maybe a bit of motivation for you. All right, for those guys who are trying to train hard and improve, all right, to achieve certain performance. These basic principles that I shared actually are the same principles that some of our best Singapore distance runners learn and apply. All right, so I hope this can give you a bit more motivation to take these basic principles a little bit more seriously. Right, Mok Ying Ren, our first Singapore SEA Games marathon man champion. All right, and then Zhou Ruiyong, the next SEA Games champion. Again, it's all about the basic principles that they learn and they apply, right, in their training. Okay. All
right, so thanks to Stephen for the sharing. So now we'll be moving on to our dialogue segments. So joining us today for the dialogue, we have Ms. Polisan, advisors to Sembawang West Grassroots Organization, and Mr. Stephen Quek, head coach of Active SG Distance Running Programs. Right now, I'll pass the time to Ms. Po to begin the Q&A. Over to you, Ms. Po.
Thank you, Lin, and many thanks to Mr. Quek, to Coach Stephen for sharing with us so many useful tips in a very holistic way. And I hope that it was very beneficial to all of you who have joined this afternoon session. And certainly, Coach Stephen has groomed many running talents, including our national marathoners, Ying Ren, as well as Ruiyong. And definitely, he has many years of experience behind him and has looked at this topic of running from a recreational to a competitive level in great detail with great expertise. So for this afternoon, we have really good participation. Right now, we have 63 participants sign up in this chat or in this Zoom session. And I realized, I was just looking through our participants today, we have almost half of you ladies. So very happy to see that actually we have many ladies runners who are quite serious about this sport and want to know more about how we can improve, how we can prevent injuries. So before this session, we've received some questions already. And I think some of you who asked questions in our earlier, before this session, are also here to join us. So we have Eileen. Eileen is here also. She has a question. Eileen Ang, yeah? She has a question here on outer knees start to painful and feel stiff when running around 10 kilometers. And this problem started after she did 53 kilometers. So Eileen is a serious long distance or ultra distance runner. So perhaps I could ask Coach Stephen to share with Eileen how can she then overcome this 10 kilometers barrier now. Over to you, Stephen.
Sorry, can you still hear me?
Yes.
You okay? Okay, because my system is hung again. Okay. Eileen, right? Is that Eileen? 53 kilometers?
Yes, Eileen did a 53 kilometers run.
Okay.
And now she's feeling the pain and stiffness of the outer knees.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that maybe allow me to respond to this question looking at the preparation for a 53 kilometer event. All right, I approach it that way, and then after that, see whether Eileen is able to obtain the answers from there. Now, when these athletes, right, like let's say Ying Ren and Ruiyong prepare for the marathon, right? They don't just train, and then go back, like I shared earlier about sleeping enough and eating well. These guys have muscle to help them in their recovery process. All right. So these guys are already doing their stretches. They do strength training to strengthen the joints. They do stretching and foam rolling to maintain the flexibility of their muscles, right? So over and above the run training that they do strength, help them, and the flexibility training to help them. They go for sports massage to help them in their recovery process, right? Any slight discomfort they feel in their body, they will highlight to the masseur, right, who will try to help them solve the problem. And I believe if they can't, they will very quickly go to the physiotherapist and ask for help, all right?
Stephen, we can't hear you now. You're on mute.
Is it okay now? Sorry.
Yes, it's better. Now you're back on.
Is it okay?
Yes.
Is it okay now? Okay. Okay. Yeah. Where did you last catch me?
You talk about the national runners, like they were doing, not just running, but also foam training and.
Okay. Sorry about that. So our serious athletes, for their recovery, they not only eat well, they sleep well, they have to pay attention to their recovery, foam rolling, massage. If they have experienced problem, they will highlight to the masseur who will try to help them, or they will run to their physiotherapist to help them, right? I don't know whether you catch that just now. I also mentioned that they do strength training, right, to make sure that the joints are strong enough to allow them to do the training load or a marathon race. They do a lot of stretching and foam rolling to make sure that the muscles are flexible enough to allow them to cope with the demand of the race. So for those of us who are into ultra, or even marathon training, 21 km, half marathon training, please take note that running itself, right? Yes, we run progressively, we plan our training, but we need also to pay attention to some of these activities to supplement the run training that we do. Does that help Eileen understand this situation?
Eileen, are you able to?
Yeah, I read here. Yes, thanks. I read.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Okay. All right. So
Great.
right now maybe solution then now I'm suggesting is if you're experiencing this discomfort on the outer part of the knee, I suggest if you have a reliable masseur, go look for your masseur, tell the masseur your problem. Hopefully with 1 or 2 massage your problem can be solved. I hope. If not, then maybe next level go see a physiotherapist for help.
Yeah. Is there a possibility that she may have injured her, her ligament, maybe even the ACL?
Okay. I'm thinking, I'm not a doctor. I'm not but my experience tell me that our running, right? Because long distance running, the impact is not high. Unlike jumping, basketballers, right? Their landing, their impact is high. The long jumper, footballers, the hurdlers.
Yes.
Our kind of running, the kind of speed that we're running, our impact is not so high. So from that angle, I think may not be so bad. Not so bad. Our problem is probably repetitive. I think I'm just guessing because I've not even looked at our friend. But my thinking is because the intensity of our training is not so high, I think it's more often an overuse kind of a problem, right? Which maybe the muscles may be very stiff and tight, right? Which a sports massage could quite often deal with it.
And how about if she, after running, would it help if Eileen puts a cold pack on her, strained knees to sort of reduce the soreness?
Okay. Good point.
Do some
Always
foam rolling
after,
also.
Yeah, in fact, for all of us, right? I think if we experience pain at training, right? Sprain an ankle, experience pain at the knee, I think first thing to do, ice it. Apply ice treatment 10 to 15 minutes every hour. All right. Hopefully, the problem goes away. Right. But that is only, during the problem there and then, but there must have been a root cause. Right. Something must have caused that. But the immediate response when we experience pain, I think very often ice treatment will help.
Right. Thanks, Coach Stephen, for this. And there's another earlier question posted by Samuel Chu. Samuel says that I am an active social runner, averaging 80 kilometers per month. And should I reduce my mileage and pace as I run, and the total kilometers per month as I get older? I am 59 this year. So Samuel is an active runner even at this age. Kudos to you, very good. And question is, should he actually scale back,
Okay, my response, I just want to clarify, is 80 kilometers per month,
per
right?
month? Yeah, so
Per
maybe
month.
20 a
20
week. Yeah.
kilometers a week. If Samuel is not experiencing any problem, I think 20 kilometers a week is nice. I think it's
Okay,
a
yeah.
nice, I think it's a nice amount, to go out and exercise, right? If you're looking at 4 sessions a week, we are looking at 5 km each time,
Yeah.
right? To go out and do a 5 km run 4 times a week, I think it's very nice. Of course, as I said, Samuel is not experiencing any problem. Continue doing that. I think he's doing well. Congratulations. Keep it up.
Okay, so long he's just listen to the body, and the body says I'm good enough to continue doing the same thing. Just carry on with your 20 kilometers per week or 80 kilometers per month. Okay, that's great. Thank you. And then now we move on to another of our participant here, Linda. Linda asked how to prevent muscle pain.
Okay, Linda, this is a very, very general question. How to prevent muscle pain. I think we want to know the cause of the pain, right? What is the cause of the muscle pain? Because if I haven't exercised for a long time, I start exercising, I will experience a bit of ache, right? And if I progress too much too soon, all right, I will experience muscle pain. If I exercise without warming up adequately, I will have experienced some of this problem as well. If the speed of my running is faster than I can cope, quite often give us problem. Give us problem like that that leads to muscle pain.
Okay, so it's probably, if it's a generic muscle group, then it's really about part and parcel of building up the muscle fibers and getting ready. But if it's a bit more specific, let's say hamstring. So for example, I have a hamstring problem.
What I'm thinking is, actually a normal person, shouldn't experience muscle pain, right? I think a normal person, when we exercise, we shouldn't be experiencing muscle pain, right? So if we have, maybe we look back and check, have I warmed up properly? Have I started too vigorously? Have I, progressed too much? Maybe look along that line, right? And am I lacking in flexibility? As I mentioned earlier, right? If I'm running very regularly, but muscles are getting stiff and tight, so sometimes can lead to muscle pain, all right? Because the word pain is quite general, we don't exactly understand what she's saying, she's referring to, but I think try to trace, right, whether it's the various factors that I have actually shared in the presentation today. Maybe trace back and identify the source of the problem.
So Linda, if you're still there, if you have more specific pain that you're referring to, why not you add into the chat and we try to address that. And as we are talking about pain, we've got a couple of questions here, a bit more specific. For example, from VHH, he asked any advice on how we can prevent knee injury or to put too much stress on the foot. And then Norbert also asked, is plantar fasciitis or Achilles tendonitis a sign of overstraining or overtraining? He runs every day. So these are two more specific on knee as well as the ankle area, the foot area.
Okay. There are 3 main joints we use in our running: the hip joint, the knee joint, the ankle joint, right? So there are muscles around these joints, right? In order for the legs to move, those muscles around the joints have to be working together, right? I think over time, okay, from my experience, most of the time, right, that we experience this problem that you are talking about, that you guys raise, is due to muscle tightness. Okay, now there are various sets of muscles operating. Now, if I work one set of muscle regularly, right, I keep working on that set of muscle, right, the neighboring, the opposite set of muscles will relatively be weaker. One more time, if I keep strengthening one muscle, right, the opposite set of muscle, even if I don't do anything wrong, relatively it becomes weaker. So we would like to supplement our training with strength, while running training with strength training. Similarly, if we exercise regularly, certain muscle group will get stiff and tight, right? Some of our muscle group will get stiff and tight. If we keep exercising those muscles, right, because they're stiff and tight, they start to put pressure, right, tension on our joints. Okay, so many of this experience that we have is due to tightness of the muscles at the joints. So to prevent such problem, right, I think first thing we want to do is to make sure of the flexibility of this joint, these muscles. So stretch regularly, make sure that we don't neglect stretching. And nowadays, foam rolling is getting very popular, right? Use foam rolling to help to loosen up the muscles. And if there are any particular muscle group, and you can see that, you know, we're running quite regularly and some muscle group has gotten stronger, try to strengthen the opposite set of muscles, right? So if we do some strength training, some stretching exercises, I believe can help us prevent many of these problem that you're talking about. Maybe I can offer to, you may drop me an email. I can, those gentlemen now who raised those questions, drop me an email. I point you to the solution, where to find the solution to your problem. I think can more specifically help you solve that particular problem that you're referring to. I think that may be easier.
So Stephen, can you let us know what is your email? Maybe if you want to type it in the chat and then everyone can see.
Okay, can
or you can just
SQ1967 SQ1967@hotmail.com.
Okay. Okay, I'll just type it out for everyone. Okay, great. All right, thank you. Thanks, Yen Yi. Stephen's very kindly offered his personal advice to those of us who may need more specific. Okay. And we have a next question. Yeah, okay, back to Linda. She mentioned earlier on the pain. So she mentioned it could be a hamstring. So indeed, hamstring. So Stephen, any particular advice for Linda?
Okay.
She's experienced hamstring pain.
Hamstring pain, normally long distance runners, we don't get hamstring pain, right? The sprinters are the one who have problem with the hamstring pain. So I wonder if it's Linda, you have tried running faster than you normally do? As a result, you got this pain, right? You hurt your hamstring because you're running faster than you normally do. Is that the cause?
Hi, Stephen, Coach Stephen. Okay, actually, I think the main cause could be initially I started with 5 to 6 kilometers, then instead of progressively run to increase the distance, I think I straight jumped to 10 kilometers and then it continued for a few runs. So I think could be this reason that caused my muscle pain. Yeah.
And on the hamstring for running more.
Yes, and then I even got problem of walking, and it lasted me for a month to totally recover.
Okay, clarify. Hamstring, sorry, the area above the back muscle, the muscle behind, above the knee.
Actually, hamstring, should I say hamstring? Is in front, more towards the back. Maybe the side, I should say. Yeah, the side.
Are you referring to the ITB? Are you referring to the outside of the quadriceps? Outside of the thigh?
Yeah, correct.
Okay, I think you're referring to the ITB.
ITB. Yeah.
I think it's the ITB, and that is possible.
Iliotibial band.
Yes, I think that is possible because when you run more, right, like the way you describe, so the muscles have gotten quite stiff and tight, right? So if you do, okay, I think this is quite easy. Look out for stretches. I think YouTube you can find. Look for stretching exercises that can help loosen up your ITB, right? Then I think you would be able to deal with that because probably your ITB is a bit tight, right? And I always say if it's serious and it's affecting you, please look for look for a sports masseur to ask them to see whether they can guide you, right? I think for this tightness, it should be able to, it should go away after 1 or 2 visits to the masseur.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Okay, thank you, Linda. So we move now from injury to performance. There are a couple of questions here. I think fairly serious runners like Jeremy asked that back-to-back 20-kilometer long runs needed in the final stage of marathon running or marathon training, or would a few runs of 32 kilometers suffice?
Okay. I think we approached the question this way. Sorry, the name, who's the person?
That's Jeremy Sia.
Jeremy.
Mhm.
Jeremy, you see, I look at it this way. The purpose of your preparation for the marathon is to allow you to finish a 42 km race, right? So your long run, you want to progressively move towards, okay, for marathon training, we don't do 42 km in training, right? We progress to about 35 km in training, right? So you gradually progress your long run towards 35. Back-to-back 20 km is not specific. You run 20, you rest, you run 20 on a marathon day, you don't get the rest, right? So I would then recommend, over the last 12 weeks of preparation, right, gradually increase your long run weekly, right? But the last long run should be at least more than 14 days before your event, right? And build it up towards 35. I think that would be more specific in your preparation of your long run. Does that answer your question, Jeremy? Okay. Maybe let me share this. The people who are preparing for marathon, go to the National Library. All right, go to the National Library. Look for the book Marathon Training Smart. I've published a book. It's available in the National Library. So the questions that Jeremy asked, I've drawn up tables and charts to show how you can give some suggestion on how you can progress your long run towards towards the 35 km. Right. So you can go to the National Library and borrow the book.
Okay, thanks, Stephen. Another question that is related to performance also is the shoes. Obviously, for runner, the shoes are very, very important. So there's a question from David Lim. What is the recommended distance time to change our running shoes?
Okay, I think shoes. I think it's very individualized, right? I think depending on how often you run, how much you run, different body weight, right? Different terrain you run, right? Running on grass is very different from running on a hard concrete ground, in the trail, on the track. And some people are a little lighter, some people are heavier, right? So I think we all have different needs.
But is there like a standard of, let's say your shoes clock 500 kilometers and you need to throw them away? Get a new
Yes,
pair?
they have these guidelines. They have this guideline, yes. Yeah, but I think the deviation can be quite far, can be quite a bit from that guide. Yeah. Maybe on shoes, I would really suggest this because I saw, in fact, I saw a few other questions earlier, about shoes, whether we should wear, the various style of shoe for pronator, supinator. I think if if we don't have problem at all wearing the same shoes that we have been wearing, then don't try and worry too much about this, right? I think just we're happy. We have been training regularly with a pair of shoes that is working for us. Don't worry about it, right? But if we are experiencing problem, a bit of shin pain, or even the outer part of the shin area, then go look for shoes that suit your foot type, right? And for that, go to the shop, tell the staff that in fact they will guide you, right? They have some procedure, go through in the store, they will guide you and help you choose the pair of shoes that's best suited for your feet.
But Stephen, I have a question on shoes. If we go a bit more specific, for example, for myself, I've been running for many years on the Newton shoes, which run on the forefoot running, on the lugs at the front. So the posture and the gait of a running tends to be leaning forward. Recently, I changed to the ASICS ones that has got a semi-metal or carbon plate in the shoe, and I find that the support is actually very, very good. So in this case, when it comes to, shoe is a very important investment for me, I think, for runners, because we hardly need any gear, we hardly need any equipment, we just need a good pair of shoes, some good running, comfortable running clothes. So is there any specific, guideline? If let's say you are a serious runner, you run 40 to 80 kilometers a week type, you need to have a certain type of shoe so that you should be prepared to invest a bit and pay a bit more just to make sure you don't injure your knees, your ankles.
Okay, you were running, forefoot for a while, no problem. No problem.
No problem.
You're happy
about
with
10,
that?
15 years, happy with that.
Why did you change to these carbon plated shoes?
Because the shoes don't last very long. The Newtons don't last very long.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because now this is the latest in long distance running. They have come out with this carbon plated shoes. They provide good support. Yeah. And it's many people. All the top runners are using this now, right?
Yes.
So I suppose this is the progress that sports science has given us, right? So they are providing more support, better support for our athletes. So I think it's good, to go along. I think it is working. In fact, I think we read quite a bit in the some of these reports that the best runners in the world are wearing such shoes now.
Yes.
Right, with this carbon plated support. Yeah.
Yes.
So those of us who can afford, go for it. But not everybody, is ready to invest. So for those of us who are not into this and it's working, the average shoes. I use the word average shoes that we've been wearing. If it works for us, don't. There's no problem. Don't be pressured to to follow along. But for those of us who like keen to try, right? I think this is really working for the serious runners. Yeah.
Okay.
Good support. Yeah.
Thank you, Stephen. We come to another question on the warm-up and the cool-down. Okay, and since we have about a minute to go before our 2:30 end time, it's also timely to talk about cool-down. So it's a question from Zion. Is 30 to 60 minutes duration inclusive of warm-up and cool-down? Any cheat sheet tips of warm-up and cool-down, like what are the exercises you should make sure you should do, especially for your warm-up and cool-down?
Okay. Respond to this. I said it depends on the intensity of the activities that we are doing. Because if my activity that I'm doing is not very intense, then the need for the cool-down is not as important. But if I'm doing interval training, like I suggested, let's say the 2.4, 90-second, 9-minute guys, then the cool-down is important. Right, because of the intense activity we did before that, we need a good cool down to help us recover, right? Flush out the waste product. We don't want to leave behind some of this waste product in the muscles, which are the sports scientists. I mean, they will be able to explain in the scientific term, but it's not good to leave behind some of this waste product in our muscles. So we want to flush them out. So we go for a cool down jog, and then we stretch off to loosen up the muscles. We don't want to go back with stiff, tight muscles. Maybe I elaborate a bit more for the serious runners who are doing interval training, I share how important it is to me. David, right? I think, yeah. Is it David? I share how important it is to me, the cool down. When athletes are rushing off after training, right? They say, oh, I need to rush off because I have something important, like a lesson or something. I always say this: if you don't have enough time to finish your strength training, you can skip, but you cannot compromise the warm-up, the cool down. All right. I don't do the strength training to build. I'm okay, but I cannot compromise the cool down to recover because it will affect my next training. Yeah, I go back not in a good state, and then the next training will be affected as well. So that is how serious cool down it is to me. But then again, I'm talking about guys who are training at intensity that prepare them for 5-kilometer races and all that, and that then those activities are quite intense. Okay, so but then you refer to, I think you refer just now to within a training session that is only about 30 to 60 minutes. How much time do you want to put aside for cool down, right? Then my response is, for those guys who are training using the ACSM guideline, right, 30 to 60 minutes, we are looking at exercising at up to 90% intensity. All right. So for those activity, I think a short cool down jog, a short run, maybe 2 laps with some light stretches, I think that's good enough. For my serious athletes, we want to cool down jog for at least 10 minutes, even 15 to 20 minutes.
Okay. On this note, I think that's really helpful, because I think it's a great reminder for all of us runners. Don't take the shortcut. You must make sure you stretch. You must make sure you do your warm up and cool down properly.
Allow me to add
do
one
your
more
deep
point.
stretch.
Allow me to add one more point. You see, that's why I really feel that many of us, many of us are experiencing some form of discomfort here and there in our legs. I think maybe one of the key area that we can really work a bit more on is the cool down, jog and stretch. Because if we can really cool down properly, stretch out properly, then a lot of this tightness that I mentioned earlier, remember I said, drop me an email, I will point you to to where to look for the answers. When I say that, it's about tight muscles that need to be loosened up. And if we do cool down, jog and stretch well, it can save us a lot of problems in the long term. Thanks.
Indeed. Okay, I think we've addressed all the questions in the chat room and also what was sent to us. If there are no burning questions, I think it's about time we let Coach Stephen go off and also end this session. I thought it's been a very enriching, very, very informative session this afternoon. So once again, thank you to Coach Stephen for taking time off your busy schedule and sharing with us, and even offering your email to let us ask you more questions after this session. And we hope that all of you can continue to run regularly, safely, and also together with our running clubs. Enjoy the camaraderie, enjoy the fun, and hopefully this year you'll get to see more races being organized by Sports SG and also other organizations. So for us in Sembawang West CSC, in the next Sunday, actually, Sunday morning, we're going to be organizing the inaugural biathlon. It's a sprint biathlon. It will be held at Woodlands Swimming Complex for the swim of 800 meters, 16 laps, and then followed by a 5 kilometers run at Woodlands Stadium. So for those of you who are interested and have not signed up, please do so. And of course, we will be organizing more interesting fitness programs in the next few months and the years ahead, and really take this opportunity to invite your friends, your neighbors, other residents to come and join us and keep fit together. Yep. So maybe Lian, I'll pass it back to you to close the session.
Thank you, Ms. Pozo. Thank you everyone for the question raised. We hope they've enjoyed the sessions and hope that you're able to apply these 5 useful techniques for your future trainings and runs. All right, 2 more things before we end the sessions. Can we have every one of you to on your camera for one last time? We're going to take a group photos, and thereafter we will need you to actually do your feedback on the QR code, which I'm going to share with you later. So can you guys please turn on your cameras and look at the cameras, show your teeth and smile. Back end team, are you ready? 1, 2, 3, cheers. All right, one more. 1, 2, 3, cheers.
Okay, done.
Okay, good, thank you. All right, so right now, do give us your feedback on today's sessions through the QR code, which I'm going to share with you on the screen shortly. And do let us know what other topics you're interested in for subsequent sports workshops. For new participants, if you'd like to join the Northwest Running Club, do indicate your interest together with your postal code in the feedback form. We will link up with you into the nearest Northeast Running Club soon. So thank you everybody for your time, and let me just share my screen for the QR code. All right, here you go. Can you guys see my screen? Yes?
Yes, can see you. Thank you.
Okay, good. Okay, take your time to actually scan this QR code and share with us your feedback. For now, have a good Sunday afternoon. Thank you for your time.